everybody, it's Emily here, and this is my first ever YouTube video, and it is going to be about the Disney College Program phone interview. I am still waiting to hear back if I was accepted into the fall program or not, but I thought that maybe some of you who maybe have your phone interview coming up or thinking about doing the program would like to know some of the questions that they may ask you on the phone interview. So basically, the phone interview isn't too long. It's about 20 minutes, so not super duper long, but a decent amount of time. And it starts out by them asking you basically really simple questions, basically asking you, like when you would like to do the program, if all of the dates work out for you to go there, and if you're able to make that commitment to be there for whatever time you selected. And then they start getting into maybe a little bit about your work history. So they'll look at any of the work history that you uploaded and maybe ask you specific questions about where you worked. Like for example, for me, they were asking me questions about how I handled a difficult guest because I worked at Lambeau Field. They also ask you how you handle a difficult situation with a roommate. So they'll ask you if you ever worked with or ever lived with a roommate, and then they will ask you how you handled any conflicts because you could be living with up to 7 other people in your apartment, so they have to make sure that you will be easy to get along with. Then they start getting into some of the more difficult questions, which are the questions about the different roles you could possibly have in the Disney College Program. So it's important to kind of remember what you put as roles that you may be interested in, because they're going to ask you questions based on that. So a good way to prepare for that is just to think of scenario type questions. Like for example, for one of my roles, I put that I would work on an attraction. So they asked me scenario questions such as, like, what would you say if someone was not tall enough to ride your attraction? What would you tell them? They also asked me, what would you tell someone if they were leaving tomorrow and their favorite ride that they just loved and needed to go on again was broken down? What would you tell them? So a lot of scenario questions for the attractions. They also asked me, because attractions are kind of repetitive, like you say and do a lot of the same stuff over and over again all day. So they asked me how I would keep myself interested in the job. So I thought that was kind of an interesting one, and that one was a little bit hard for me to think of on the spot. So that may be something that you would want to think of in advance. Let's see. Oh, for quick service, they just kind of asked me, how I would handle fast-paced environment, and asked me if I would rather be in a moderate pace or a fast-paced environment. I also put down that I would be interested in being a character attendant, so they asked me scenario questions about that too, like you could be asked. I wasn't asked this question, but I have seen that people were asked, like, what would you tell someone if Mickey had to take a break? And I also was asked, like, what would you say to someone if they're the next in line to meet Mickey and then all of a sudden they get scared and don't want to? I didn't really get asked too many scenario questions for a character attendant, but I know that there are a lot of scenario questions that they could potentially ask you. They did ask me what they thought I would bring to the character attendant position. I also put like front desk as something, so front desk at like a hotel or something. And so they asked me, what would I bring to the front desk position? Why would I be a good fit for that? Let's see, what else? Oh, character performer. I put character performer down, but they honestly really, they saw on my application that I am a dancer and that I teach dance a lot, so they didn't really ask me any questions about a character performer, because if you are interested in being a character performer, you do need to audition. So, I mean, the people who are hosting the audition will be deciding if you're a good fit for any of the roles. So they didn't really waste too much time going into detail with that in my interview. But the auditions are this week. They're finishing up this week. So I don't think I'm going to be able to attend the auditions. But if any of you guys are interested, there are auditions. So if you did apply to the program, even if you didn't get your phone interview yet, you might want to audition, because they are almost done with their auditions for character performers. But other than that, they didn't ask me too many questions. I think I was just super nervous, and even though I did kind of prepare questions they may ask me in my head, I still was a little bit nervous. Of course, they're going to ask you general questions like, why would you want to work at Disney? Why would you be a good fit? Things like that. But generally the questions were not too surprising to me. But I think it is good to kind of think of scenario questions, because those can be more difficult than some of the basic questions, like why would you want to work at Disney? And I did actually, before my phone interview, I did look up phone interview questions for the Disney College program, and I did find a few websites that had potential questions, and that actually did help me a lot, because some of my questions did come from that. So I'm sure that they probably do have a list of questions, and they just pull a few from their list depending on what you put down as roles that you may be interested in. And also, it kind of you get more questions asked to you depending on how many roles you select, and the variety of questions depends on the different roles that you select that you may be interested in. They may also ask you about roles that you had put no interest or low interest in. They may ask you do you have any interest in that? Would you be willing to do any of those roles? For example, if you put no interest in maintenance or something, they may ask you, would you be willing to do that? But if you really do not want to do maintenance or whatever it is that you put no interest in, don't be afraid to tell them you're not interested, because they may actually put you in that role because you said, oh yeah, I mean, that'd be fine. So really just truly be honest and upfront with them and tell them what you do want to do and what you don't want to do. And that's why it's important for the web-based interview to only put that you're interested in roles that you actually truly are interested in, because otherwise you could get stuck in a role you really didn't want to do. You just put it because you wanted more opportunity. So just be careful with that, and just be honest with them about what you're interested in and what you're not interested in. Also, the one question that I actually thought was really, I was kind of not really sure how to answer. Now, after the fact, I know how I could have answered it better, but I did put merchandise as an option for a role, and they were talking about how you could make that experience magical. When you are dealing with a guest, either at the counter or if you're helping them in the store, how would you make their experience more magical and memorable for them? So I thought that one was kind of tricky. I wasn't expecting that, so I didn't have the best answer for that. But of course, there are things that I think I could have said now. But overall, I think that the interview went well, and hopefully I get information on whether or not I was accepted soon, because of course the waiting is the worst. But also, for any of you guys who are waiting for your phone interview or any other interview, don't worry about it, because it does take time. You may not get any feedback for a while. It took I think about a week and a half before I got my phone interview after I applied. So it's really not, it's not uncommon to not have your application reviewed for a while. So don't worry about it. I know it's like hard not to worry about it, and you like constantly want to check your dashboard, because I'm in that boat right now. I'm like checking every few hours, but I'm thinking it'll probably be a while yet, but hopefully I will find out soon. And if anyone has any suggestions for video ideas or anything you want to learn about, Disney related or anything else, let me know.